Okay, listen. Everything that I'm about to tell you is almost too good to be true, but it's 100% true. There is not a single boring aspect that I'm going to be talking about in this video, so buckle up. I am convinced that this game will hold me over until The Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, and honestly, it might even make me forget about The Elder Scrolls entirely. I finally said why not, and I decided to check this game out called Crimson Desert, and I am so happy I did. It's probably top 3 best decisions I've ever made is researching this game. After checking this game out and researching it for the past week, I knew immediately. I was like, I have to make a video for you guys and introduce this game, which will definitely be a recurring topic in the future on this channel. So if you like The Witcher, dragons, fantasy RPGs, fast-paced combat, destructible environments, and medieval-style battles with lots of dudes on screen, you clicked the right video. So I don't want to waste any more time. I'm going to tell you everything I know so far about Crimson Desert. So I'll briefly cover the very bare bones details, and then we can talk about the fun stuff. Crimson Desert is an upcoming open world action RPG developed by Pearl Abyss, and they're the same guys who made Black Desert Online, by the way, which I've played before, and honestly, it's pretty fun. I didn't play too much of it, but in my opinion, I think it was ahead of its time. For a 2014 MMO, if you haven't played it, I recommend it because the community is still pretty active. Crimson Desert was originally envisioned as a prequel to Black Desert, but it kind of shifted into its own unique experience with its own story. But it's in the same world as Black Desert. Alright, so now that we got the basics out of the way, here's the fun stuff, and it gets progressively cooler, I promise. Setting and story. This game takes place in a medieval fantasy world. I'm sold. Here's my money. Thank you. I'll take it. I'll take 2. It takes place on a continent called Pyrewell. It's full of political unrest, mercenary wars, and supernatural forces, kind of like the United States lately. You play as this dude named Cliff McDuff, and you are the leader of a mercenary group known as the Greymanes. That sounds familiar. The world is designed to be fully explorable with a variety of towns, landscapes, and side content available outside of the main story. Now, the game is supposedly 50 to like 80 hours long, and that's the time it would take to beat the story and the side activities. And I'm assuming that's if you don't really take your time. I'm guessing that's if you really put your head down and focused on only doing quests, you'd be done in that amount of time. In my opinion, 50 to 80 hours is a perfect amount of time, but only if the variety of content is there. But we're going to talk about variety in just a second. Combat. Okay, it was going to get progressively cooler. Strap in. I told you. I promised you. Okay, so this is what I'm most excited for. And it's the gameplay systems and the combat and how those kind of work together. And I already know that some of you might look at the combat in this game, let out a heavy sigh, and say, oh look, another Souls game. And I'm here to say that you have nothing to worry about. I promise that we don't have another Souls game on top of the other 8 major Souls-like releases we've gotten in the last year and a half. Yes, I counted. Think about it like if The Witcher had a baby with Shadow of War, and then that baby had a baby with the new God of War games, and then that baby had a baby with Assassin's Creed Valhalla. That's kind of how I feel about the combat. It takes the best aspects, including things like camera angles and a cinematic feel, and combines them all into one. It's also pretty fast-paced, which I really like. I'm assuming also that there's probably some slower combat in there as well. Something else that stood out to me was the amount of combos you can take advantage of, and from the looks of it, you don't really have to do 20 combos in a fight, but I guess it's there if you choose to play that way. And out of all the videos I've probably watched several hours of video footage from this game, and this is everything I've seen just so far. Okay, there's dodging, parrying, grappling, environment-based interactions, switching weapons mid-fight, light attacks, heavy attacks, overhead attacks, running, sliding, shield bashing, counterattacks, vaulting, jump attacks, slow-mo while dodging, slow-mo while jumping, glinting your f***ing sword to blind enemies, spin attacks, drop kicks, running kicks, ground kicks, stabbing them while they're down, suplexing motherfuckers mounting enemies, and yes, there's more than that. Oh, and by the way, that's all just abilities from a mid-game build. It sounds like overkill, right? I mean, that's the first thought I had, but I've seen a lot of reviews, and obviously the combat is a big talking point in these reviews, and I haven't heard a single person complain that it was too much or that remembering keybinds or buttons was ever an issue.
It's wild. Like, not only is it R1, R2, but it's also about hot swapping weapons. It's about pressing triangle and circle at the same time to do a special. It is so complex.
They just talk about how fluid and fun it is. Also, there's different weapons like swords, axes, pole arms, and bows. And in much of the gameplay I see, there's a ton of different armor you can equip that also changes your look. One thing that's got me really excited is that, and this is just me a personal thing, and that's that all the armor I've seen kind of sticks to that fantasy medieval style, and I love that style of armor in games like this. There's also a bunch of cool boss fights, and the bosses, they seem to have a good variety of mechanics. I have yet to see a boss fight that wasn't unique or straight up badass, man. And I promise I'm not like straight up glazing this game. I do have some concerns, and that is near the end of the video. Exploration and navigation. Okay, this is crazy. Exploration looks like it plays a huge part in this game. And just like the combat I mentioned earlier, there is a ton of variety to choose from. So, of course, you can do it the old-fashioned way and get on a horseback riding. And this isn't confirmed, but I hope we'll be able to choose from different types of horses and maybe even customize them. I would like to see some horse armor, obviously. Plus, I'm sort of a stickler for horse animations and the speed at which they go. And so far, this game makes horseback riding look very enjoyable. It's some of the best that I've ever seen, and I'm eager to try it. Another form of traversal, and you'll like this one, you can transform into what appears to be some kind of crow, and you can glide around like, holy shit, stop trying to sell me. And you can just simply kind of get around this way, or I've seen also in clips, they use it to break falls, like if they're about to hit the ground. And there's also flying mounts. Yes, you'll be able to ride dragons as well as wyverns, and I hope and pray, I really do, I hope we can do things like flips and barrel rolls. Like, I haven't seen that yet. I don't think they've really spoken on that, but doing tricks, oh, that'd be awesome. Again, that's not confirmed. It's definitely something that would add to the experience a bit, but I mean, like it needs more. You know, you're riding a freaking dragon. How much cooler can it actually get? There's also hot air balloons, and I will just let you sit with that for a moment. There's just hot air balloons, I guess. I'm not sure. Besides those, that's all we know of right now. But besides that, we do have parkour and climbing, and we'll be able to climb things like trees, buildings, castle walls, all in that kind of Assassin's Creed style. Say what you want about Assassin's Creed, you know, but I have to say that Unity had some of the best parkour ever. If this game even has a fourth of the greatness of Unity's parkour, I'll be sold. There's also special abilities that launch you into the air, and I'm sure you'd be able to combo that with the glide mechanic if you need to, where you turn into a crow. I mean, as many combos as there is in combat and pretty much everything else you do, you're probably going to be able to mix and match with these things. And lastly, there's fast travel. Who in their right mind would want to fast travel when you have this many cool ass options of transportation? I am never gonna fast travel in this game. I can promise you that. Matter of fact, I'm probably gonna find a way to go into the game files and just turn that off completely if I can. All right, moving on. Side activities. Okay, so far we've talked about some of the core gameplay mechanics like the story, combat, exploration, but besides the main stuff you can experience, so far I've only found 5 concrete side activities, and I found one that might be in the game, but I'm not sure. First up, we got fishing. Not sure what else to say about that. I mean, it's just fishing, I guess. Maybe it's more fleshed out than quote-unquote just fishing, but it does tie into the next activity, and the next one is cooking. There's a few clips I've seen of the cooking in action, but they're all very short. I'll try to find that clip and put it up on screen. There's dozens of hours of footage for this game on YouTube. Speaking of cooking, there's a lot of scenes where you can bring up a weapon items item wheel, similar to Red Dead Redemption 2. And I've seen a pretty good variety of different foods across different gameplay videos. It looks like you can kind of eat it for buffs or whatever. We've also got alchemy. I'm assuming we can gather herbs and animal parts or even other resources laying around. There is a kind of mining-ish clip, I guess. If I can find that, I'll put it on screen too. But as far as I know, alchemy will be used for obvious things like, crafting potions. But I've also researched it further, and I think we're also going to be able to do weapon enhancements as well, so that's cool. Puzzle solving is the next one. It's not something I don't really care. Unless it's done very well. I feel like games like Breath of the Wild, they do a fantastic job at the puzzle solving mini games, but I always kind of let out a huge sigh 99% of the time a game presents me with a puzzle to solve, and it's always like half-assed or just too easy. So I don't know. If you enjoy puzzles, then for your sake, I hope it's good. And then the last confirmed one is petting animals. Yes, of course. I had to include this. Of course, I'm a huge fan of petting animals in games, and apparently you can pick up cats and squeeze them. In my opinion, this is just another reason for me to instantly get this game, obviously. If your game doesn't have an ability to pet animals, what are you doing? What are you doing? Instant sell. If this game is not in your wish list yet, oh, man, you must be unhappy or something. I'm kidding. Faction management. So this is the feature that I said I wasn't too sure it existed, but it would make sense, and I would like to see it, and I'll tell you why it makes sense. You do, in fact, play as the leader of a mercenary band called the Greymanes, as I mentioned earlier. With the amount of content that's already in this game, and this is just me speculating, it's safe to assume that almost nothing is off the table. And with the large-scale battles that we've seen, that I've showed you so far, I'm hoping that there's some kind of faction managing aspect in the game. Nothing too crazy, at the bare minimum, I would like to see some sort of system that allows you to recruit mercenaries to follow you around or something like that. Like how in Assassin's Creed, you can kind of hire some guards to come with you. I think that would be a nice little addition. Plus, it would be helpful because I've seen a lot of clips where you're pretty much in a 1v20 situation or more, actually. Not to mention that in this world that the game is built in, there's just a bunch of mercenary factions fighting each other. So it'd be cool, just to go a bit further on that speculation, it would be cool to have to go around and get new weapons and stuff for your army or recruit people. I hope that's an aspect in the game. Next, graphics. Visually, this game looks amazing. I think that initially people didn't think this game was even real because of how beautiful it looks. The vibrancy of it sort of reminds me of the Witcher 3 Blood and Wine DLC. There's a lot of color pop and variation in the world, and I think that pairs pretty nicely with the fidelity, which makes this game look amazing. I like how there's some darker tones, and I always like in games like this where the darker toned areas are super dark, but the bright kind of countryside medieval look, it really pops. I do believe it'll also have DLSS, which is something I pretty much use in every game I play when it's available. And there's not much else to say about the graphics, really. I've been showing gameplay and you can see for yourself how good this looks. And by the way, just not with graphics, but with everything, keep in mind that some of this gameplay you're watching ranges from 9 months to 2 years ago to a day ago. So odds are that they've polished it up a bit since then. And lastly, the tone, okay? The tone of this game is arguably my favorite part. If you've been a part of this channel for a while, you know that as soon as I see anything resembling a fantasy, medieval, or dark medieval game, I'm on it, dude. I'm on that shit instantly. Just like that Chronicles Medieval game, we're covering that game too, baby. I love the tone and vibe that this game gives off. You'll see a large medieval castle from far away with huts and homes surrounding the fortress where there's just regular people just going on their day, just doing day-to-day shit. So there's that classic medieval feel that I like so much, but then you'll see other races and giants too, which was pretty odd. But even the odd stuff like that seems to fit just perfect in the world. It's not like that's kind of weird and out of place. I wish we had more games like this with this kind of tone. So to wrap this video up, I did say I was going to talk about concerns. I guess I do have a few concerns concerns about this game, and the first concern is the potential for bloat. Don't get me wrong, I love variety in a game. I love having a lot to do. And on paper, all the side activities and mechanics sound amazing. Like everything I've talked about sounds awesome. But it seems like there's almost too much to do. If you've made it this far in the video, you'll understand that it doesn't sound like I'm just talking about one game. It sounds like I'm talking about 3 games. Since researching this game, I've had a few moments where I'd think that it couldn't get any cooler, and then it does, and that just kept happening. It's extremely exciting to know that there's a big variety. Like, the quantity is there and it is plentiful, but at the same time, that raises a red flag for me. My worry is that the sheer quantity of features might not be balanced by that same level of quality, just kind of across the board. I've played games before where everything sounds incredible, but once you actually get hands-on, half of it feels either shallow or underdeveloped or just a checkbox, you know? I really hope that Crimson Desert sticks the landing with this and all these systems. I hope that they feel meaningful rather than just being, like I said, checklist content. I know I said that was my first concern. I guess my second concern is just the graphics. The graphics. The performance. I think that's on everybody's mind though, especially when you get a game that looks this nice. This is gonna sound crazy, but I actually didn't cover everything in this video. This is just bits and pieces I've found in the last week. And remember also that most of these features like combos, mounts, and all of that, it's just what we've seen in a mid-game build. I am pretty freaking excited for this game, if you couldn't tell already. I like Assassin's Creed. I like The Witcher. I like medieval fantasy. And if you like those, then how could you not be at least a little bit amped for this to come out? So my overall first impressions of what I've seen is that I'm looking forward to see more. I really want to see more of this game. I hope that Pearl Abyss keeps rolling out with the new gameplay footage, you know, maybe some more of the story, deeper explanations for certain game mechanics, and so on. I'm definitely going to be doing more coverage on this game throughout the year. There's a lot to get in here. I mean, we could probably take just one of these sections of the video and talk about it for 20 minutes, honestly, and not repeat myself. I do want to shout out Pearl Abyss real quick because I feel like not a lot of game companies are as lenient and liberal with how much game footage and information that they've rolled out with. I mean, it feels like every week we're getting some new footage. They're letting places like IGN cover it, a bunch of journalists cover it. I mean, Luke Stevens has a pretty good review on Crimson Desert if you want to go check that out. But it does make me a little bit more comfortable with this game knowing that they're so willy-nilly about giving us footage. So anyway, if you like these kinds of games, if you like this kind of content, if you like the way this video is structured, you know, leave me a comment, subscribe, tell me what you think about the game. Let me know if this is the first time you've heard about it. Have you heard about it before? Are you excited? Let me know what kind of worries you got. I really like seeing what you guys have to say about it. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. See ya.